Hi there everyone and welcome back to another video. Well, today guys, we're going to try something different in black and white editing. It's not going to be a landscape and it's going to be a flower image. I'll be turning a flower from color to black and white and into black and white fine art. So stay with me guys and I'll show you my editing process on flower photography. I've done flower photography in the past. I'll be showing you some images up here on the screen, but I never tried editing them in black and white. I was playing around on my computer, always experimenting on images and editing styles, and I came across one of these flowers and I thought I'll give it a try in black and white. And it turned out quite good. So stick with me guys to the end of the video. It's not going to be that long a video. And I'll show you my editing process for flower photography in black and white. So come along with me guys over onto the computer and we'll start the editing process. Well, here we are everybody on the computer. I'll be using Adobe Camera Raw for this editing tutorial. This is the flower we'll be editing. You can use Lightroom as all settings are the same. And the first thing I'm going to do is start playing around with the sliders, just like as if I was editing a landscape image. I'm going to increase a touch of shadows. Don't worry about this black line here because we'll be changing the background. I'm going to increase a touch of whites and a bit of blacks to remove the clippings here. I'm going to give it a bit of contrast and I'll increase the exposure just a bit. Next I'll be heading down to the effects panel, increasing the texture and a touch of clarity also and a bit of dehaze. I'm going to head down to the detail panel, increase the sharpening to around 60. I always reduce radius and increase detail and move the masking slider and hold down the Alt key to sharpen the white parts of the image. Like I do in my landscape images, I increase the blue primary saturation and I'm going to increase it all the way to 100. So here, like in my other images, I'll be opening up in Photoshop, and here in Photoshop I'll be turning it into black and white. Like usual, press the black and white here. I'm going to press auto for this image. We've increased a bit more brightness here in the flower. And again, I'm going to head down to the adjustments layer and click on the gradient map. And like before, I'm going to press classic instead of smooth. And there we have a black and white image. Like I said before, we'll be changing the background. We'll be making it all black because we have two shades of black here. But now I'm going to close this image, flatten it, and then I'm going to go back over to Adobe Camera Raw, or if you're using Lightroom, to Lightroom. Now here I'm going to start straight away with the masking. Now I'm going to select the background here. I'm going to change it into solid black like I said. But I'm not going to use the background button up here. I'm going to use objects because I tried it before, but it left the stem of the flower out of the masking. So I'm just going to use the object tool. And here I'm going to paint around the flower and the stem. and let it do its work. And there we have the flower selected, but like I said, I want to target the background. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to invert the selected mask. And there we have our background selected. And all we need to do is just lower the exposure to get a solid black background. So that's ready. Now we can start the editing process on the flower. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a linear gradient. And I'm going to place it from the bottom and halfway up to the stem of the flower. So we get that gradient of the stem. You'll see what I mean when I reduce the exposure. It starts off faded and it gets a bit more solid all the way up to the stem. And the next thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to use a radial gradient, and I'm going to target the center of the flower here. We already have a nice black and white image here, but now we're going to be a bit more creative, and I'm going to increase the exposure. My aim here is to get contrasts between the background and the flower, multiple contrasts I mean. That should be okay. I'm going to use another mask, and I'm going to use another radial gradient. I'm going to place it over the center of the flower again, but make it a bit more wider. I'm going to open it up and place it around there. And here I'm going to reduce the exposure. To around there, and I'm going to reduce the blacks also. But now I'm going to subtract with a brush here, and I'm going to remove the center part where I previously increased the exposure on the first radial mask. I'm going to reduce the exposure just a bit more, and I think I'm going to increase a bit more of the radial gradient. I'm going to reduce the blacks a bit more also, and that should be okay. Next I'm going to use a brush, and I'm going to paint around the outer parts of the petal. Don't worry if you overspill onto the background. And here I'm going to subtract with a brush and remove the overspill with the brush. You don't have to be precise. That should be okay. And here I'm going to increase the exposure for the outer part of the petal. And I think that should be great. I'm going to head over to the previous marks, and I'm going to adjust them just a bit. Here I'm going to reduce the size of this one, but I'm going to increase a bit of shadows here. I'm going to head over to the next mask, and here I'm going to reduce a bit more exposure and maybe increase the mask just a bit more, the size of the mask. And I'm going to head over to the last mask I done, and I'm going to increase a bit of whites. Don't worry about the clippings on your histogram. And I think we're about ready from here. I'm going to head out of the masking. I'm going to reduce the image size. And I'm going to show you the before and after by pressing P on the keyboard. Well, here's the before without the masking and everything, and here's the after with all the masking. And there we have, if you can call it, a black and white fine art image in flower photography, creative flower photography. If you want, guys, I'm going to head over to Photoshop again, and I'm going to create a frame with a drop shadow around this image, which will give you a bit more creativity for the photo. I'm going to click OK, and there we have our image. I think it's a great image. First thing I'm going to do here in Photoshop, I'm going to reduce the size of it. I'm going to crop it down a bit to about there. Now I'm going to create the canvas here with a drop shadow. First thing you need to do, guys, is duplicate the background by dragging down onto the plus sign here and head over to image, click on canvas size, change the pixels to centimeters or millimeters if you wish, or even inches, and I'm going to increase the width to 8 centimeters and the height to 8 centimeters also. Click OK, and there we have our frame, our canvas frame. And here, just go over to the right side, click on FX here, and click on Drop Shadow. And here we have the shadow on the left side, but I like it on the right side. So I'm just going to turn the degrees, the angle here, to around 135. Click OK. And there we have our flower image, everyone. Move this out of the way, with a frame and drop shadow on it. Well, thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you get inspired and start doing some flower photography, even in color and also black and white. It will improve your photography and editing skills. Well, that's it, guys. Please hit the subscribe button, a thumbs up, and please leave any comments below. Thank you, and I'll see you in another video.